Hi, my name is Lisa. Welcome to my makeup video channel. Every day I'm learning a little bit more about how to be a better YouTuber, and I have learned the art of the remote control. I have learned about the ring light. I have learned about putting a background, and I have learned about how to create thumbnails. One of the things I also learned was that there's all kinds of cool tools out there with artificial intelligence that can help you on your journey for doing something like this. So every day I've been asking DALL-E to give me a beautiful thumbnail background to match some of these beautiful Lilly Pulitzer prints that I've been picking up. Today I'm wearing this blue Grotto Twilight by Lilly Pulitzer, and this is the 4 pictures that DALL-E Artificial Intelligence came up with. This is the picture that I decided with, and this is the thumbnail I created using Canvas. And the palette of the day is this beautiful ABH palette. I chose this palette because of this beautiful periwinkle purple, and I thought it would go absolutely amazing with this dress, and pairing it with the Terra Moons Cosmetics blue multi-chrome shadows for the underneath. So one thing I found is sometimes when we see these really beautiful colors, we want to put it all over our eye, but in real life when we're going out, it can be a little bit way too overpowering. People are like, what did you do to your eyes? So either you could use those kind of colors more for the shadow, or for the lower lid, or for your line. And that's what I did here today, is I used that for my line, and I used the ABH palette for my upper lid. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the magic. Okay, so I just put on the iconic underglow, and now I am putting on my Ambient Hourglass. For me, it's a little bit different brush today. It has like a little bit more of a huggy type shape, and I want to try this for the contour for the cheek. Creams before I put on the powder today, and make sure that this, see if it makes any difference. And I'm going to diffuse this with a bigger brush. I'm going on the side of the nose. And I want to try this like just the circle technique here. Oh, and they say to do this up here. When I say they, I mean like beauty influencers. I'm just trying some of the techniques that they say, my various channels. I have a few channels that I'm watching, but I'd like to learn more. And then here, we're gonna bring it down. So here's the fold. Kind of bring it here to soften. Okay, I also put it on my hairline just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back with a bigger brush. Now I'm setting. I'm using the Laura Mercier to set it. This is the blurring one. I was using just the regular translucent up until recently, and I wanted to try this. If nothing else, it's a newer version, and I do think it blurs a little bit better. Just to point out, even though I did the blurring powder on top, I still have the glow from the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. See that? I'm going to use the Calais Smashbox over in this area, the tan color, to kind of give it that contour on top of the already cream that we put on below the setting powder. You'll notice that this is a different kind of shape. It is, it's a Fenty Beauty brush, and I think it's just for contour. I'm going to use this smaller Charlotte Tilbury type brush for the rest of the contour. Just because that's a unique shape for doing the, cheekbone or the cheek area. And I'm going to just bring this down just a little here. This is a new technique that I've been watching other people do. Okay, I'm using this little mascara brush to just do the contour. And a little button. I don't know. The button nose. I'm not really sure. I'm not really like a nose person. Like, it's not like my big thing is looking at my nose. Just kind of following up. This is still the Cali Smashbox doing the contouring thing. So if all you did was the contour, what would that look like? Okay, I'm gonna try this new velour brow pencil just to like underneath it to give it this clean look. I have not tried this before. We'll see how this looks at the end of the video. And I also cleaned up my eyebrows a little bit. Look at that, it does have a pretty glow. I do like this. Okay, so I did try this Kaja Wink stamp, and I've been trying it on a lot of my videos. It has a left stamp and a right stamp, and you just kind of line up and then you stamp it. Now the problem is, even like if you're kind of, lifting your skin and trying to get like the same, it sometimes is not, I think I just have a hard time doing the cat eye because when I do it by hand, sometimes I mess up, and when I use the stamp, sometimes they're not placed evenly, but I'm trying with it. Okay, so an easier method for me is just to use this black Pat McGrath liner, and then when I get to the edge, just kind of flick up. So I'm kind of like just basically pulling it all the way and then continuing my line. It just seems easier for me. And then same thing, and continuing my line. And then what I can do is use a shader brush and just kind of diffuse and up. Same thing, just kind of, I can pull it in a little bit and give it that darker look. So that's kind of how I normally start off. And this is normally where I start my video, when I'm just doing the shadows. I'm also just going to do my upper line. And a little bit in here. And I'm going to use a smaller brush. So normally I just use like a shader brush, but what I'm going to do, because I noticed that when I use the larger shader brush, it sometimes comes down a little bit too far and it is distracting to me. So what I'm using is a small lip liner brush. See it? Just a little thin. I'm also going to add just a little bit of this Thrive like whitening right here to start off. So I wanted to show what I did here. I have a whole bunch of pencil holder containers, and I put all the things that I like or that seem to be working for me all together. So I'll have my two brushes and my eyeliners all together that I've been using. And I've been trying this Wink, so it's in here for now. I'm now priming with the Item Beauty mascara. One side is like a volumizer, the other one is lengthening, and it's just the primer. Doing the other side now. One problem I have is my eyesight is not always so good. So it's hard for me to tell like all the little writing on these things, like which side you're supposed to do first, but I do the light one first and then the darker one. So the lavender one and then the blue one. Now I'm using Thrive. And once again, now I've noticed like when I look at these back of these videos, it actually helps me learn too about my technique, because I was going not all the way at the base and pulling forward, and I can really see that in the video. Same thing like with my eyebrows. I could see in the video that my eyebrows were really messed up yesterday because I had used some gel and I did not brush it through very well. And I couldn't see it on camera, but then afterwards when I saw the video, it's like, oh my gosh, eyebrows. Don't look at the eyebrows, just look at the shadow. But that's how we learn, right? I'm just doing a little bit on the bottom lashes, like very lightly. And sometimes we buy these little tools to help us with like placement of things, and then after a while we get like some kind of muscle memory and we don't need the tools anymore. Like a crease piece. When I first got it, I used it all the time to kind of figure out how to do different shapes, and now I feel a little bit more comfortable not using it. Same thing with a mascara protector. I don't really use that so much anymore, but I bought it and it helped me learn how to do it a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to use Rare Beauty Humble and Kind Words. It came in a little set. It's a little mini version. I got it at Sephora during the sale, and I like it. Okay, I'm going to try this list color. I basically put it on the brush and then use it. Instead of putting it like directly on the cheek as a, like liquid and just putting it on, put it on the brush first. And I'm using a bristly kind of brush. What do you call them? Like short hair, long hair, duo fiber type brush. So what I was trying to say is it is a duo fiber. It's a Sigma F53, and it's a contour and a blush brush. And when you use a duo fiber brush, it tends to be more airbrushed, and that's the kind of look I was going for. Sometimes with the liquids, if you just put it right directly on your cheek, it can look a little splotchy. So putting it on a duo fiber brush and then brushing it helps. Also, putting it in a C gives it a more natural. Okay, so I wanted to try something a little bit different today because I do have really bad allergies to everything. And I notice sometimes when I'm using shadows that have a lot of powder in it, when I'm talking, you'll see that I'm start to like cough a little bit, or my voice changes and my ears start to pop. Anyways, I have allergies. So I wanted to use the shadow and mix it with the primer. So I put a little bit of this primer and I put it in the pan, and then I took some of the powder and kind of mixed it up in the pan. And that's how I'm going to start off. Right, so I plan to use this as a transition shade, or really more, yeah, as a transition shade. I don't know if I'm going to use too much dark colors, so we'll see. This might end up just being my only shade on my top. And let's do it again on the other side. The one thing about doing this approach where you use the primer and mix it with your shadow is that you really will have to wash your brushes afterwards, unless you're using the same shadows every day. But it actually came out really nice. I wasn't expecting it to come out so nice, and I think the trick is using this lighter shade with it. So I just used wisteria. Now I'm using Isle, and I'm using the same technique where I put the primer and mix it together on the pan and see if that helps with my allergy issue and not having a lot of kick up of stuff on my face. So far it seems to be working well, and the it actually is really nice because the primer mixed with the cream is really showing up really amazing. Okay, now I'm going to use Belle on the outer edge and inner edge, outer edge, and I'm doing the same technique again, using the powder with the, I'm sorry, using the same technique where I'm using the shadow mixed with the primer. I'm starting to get nervous because I have something that I have to do shortly. And you can kind of go in, this is the crease brush, from the crease piece. Now I'm going to add Muse on the outer edge. And a little bit in. I'm going to use Falling Star with the bigger shading brush all along the line. It's kind of like this iridescent purple. And I'm also using, this is by Terra Moons, both of these, Celestial Cloudscape on the outer edge and the inner here. So it kind of like has a halo look on the bottom. Okay, so this is a fine look, but now I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to take the eye line and I'm going to make it a blue color so we can get blue and purple and bring out both shades. So let's just see how this came out first before I wipe it off. Okay, now I'm using Celestial. This is a bluer color. And StarSign right in the center here. Right, that is perfect. Now I'm using the Atomic Division from Terra Moons as well on the inner eye, using the second brush in the crease piece, just kind of like a little pencil brush. I also want to say that I did mixed it with a little bit of primer so it would go on nice and smooth, and to eliminate getting the allergy issue. So what I'm finding is that even when I use the primer and I mix it with the powder, if I use this switch, color switch, it does get it nice and clean. Like, it's good. And I'm finding that I'm not having any issues with allergies when I mix the primer with the shadow on my palette. And this is what the palette kind of looks like. You can get them pretty cheap on Amazon, and you can mix all the different colors in different areas and different pots with your creams, with your primer, if you mix it with your primer. Okay, so my final thoughts. I really love the ABH palette. A lot of times when I'm mixing these, you could see that there's a big kick up, and I find that sometimes when I get a big kick up on my eyes that I get like allergy issue. I'm just allergic to life. I'm allergic to everything grass. So when I mixed it with the base, the primer, it stuck on the eye really well, and I think it made it very vibrant. So using like an eye primer and mixing it together with the powder on that silver tray, I think helped a lot. And it made it vibrant, it came out pretty, it came out a lot nicer than I thought it was gonna look. And I think pairing the bright blue underneath is just all that. I really like that. So like I said, sometimes we see these beautiful shadows and we want to put it all over our lid, but it can be a little bit too much, if it's all over the lid. But using it more for like the lower lid right here, or using it under the eye, I think really makes a statement. I think it's very pretty like that. So you're putting a black eyeliner and then using a multi-chrome on top looks really good. So I really enjoyed this look, and I hope that you enjoy it. Give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.